Okay, you know what y'all never, ever see in my videos? You never see my kicks. Because I'm always in my bed, and who's going to put the kicks in their bed, right? So, these are kind of like my go-tos, because I like orange, and I'm old, so, you know, I can't like be trying to get all too funky with some new shoes. So I just kicked the Pumas, because they were cool when I was a kid. They got to be cool still, right? But check these out. I'm going to show you. I sport these once in a while, not too often. There's a couple pictures of me out there with them, but check these out. Anitsaku Tiger. They're like karate shoes. Actually, you know what? I got those shoes because there's a dude is like the athletic vegan or something like that. And he does Tai Chi. And I was like, I'm going to do some Tai Chi. And he had those shoes on. I was like, those are badass shoes. I need to get a pair of those. So, that's how they came to be. Anyway, doing a video on monogamy versus non-monogamy, emotional monogamy. I'm not going to bring up cheating because fuck that. Like, who the fuck cheats? That's just fucked up. Like, so for the sake of this video, non-monogamy is going to fall under the category of ethical non-monogamy, meaning that it's open and consenting and everybody agrees. I'll talk maybe a little bit about open relationships. I'll talk about poly a little bit, and I'll talk about poly-fidelity, which is monogamy amongst more than 3 people. Alright, so where to start with this? It's really weird, and I mean, I'm always really honest with you, so I'm going to do so now. Monogamy, sexual monogamy is really hard for me. Emotional monogamy, no problem. I have no struggles with emotional monogamy in any way, shape, or form. Like, I am all for just going all in and loving one person to fucking death. Sexual monogamy is difficult. I mean, I'm a man. I am a pretty assertive man. I think I have a stronger drive than most, and I pretty much just want to get everything in the world pregnant. And I think I've talked about this in other videos, but so I really struggle with that for a long time because it doesn't feel natural to me. I end up kind of feeling trapped, and it really starts to just be like, ugh. And if I have like, if I'm with somebody that's like, okay, if you need to mess up, you can. I'm pretty good. Like, it's not like I would, and, you know, I wouldn't do anything. I've never cheated. I would never do anything outside of the guidelines of the rules that we laid down and agreed to when I started a relationship. But, so for me to be monogamous, because I'm protective, I'm possessive, I don't want my partner sleeping with anybody else. Like, it's a hot fantasy and everything, but in reality, like, I'm protective. I'm way too protective. I would have to kill that motherfucker if he slept with my woman. So, you know, it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be like, I'm going to do whatever I want, but you can't. So there's that. So there's a little hypocrisy there, and I think a lot of people don't want to talk about that. I think a lot of times monogamy is an exchange of, you probably want to sleep with other people, and I probably want to sleep with other people, but I don't want you to, so I'm willing to not do it. And I think, in part, that's where cheating stems from. It's like, well, I don't want you to, and I won't either, but really you want to, so you do it anyway. So I've set like really pretty strict rules for myself to make monogamy something that works for me. That's why I have some of the rules that I do in relationships. No masturbating. I don't look at porn. No porn. Like, I really need to just be focused on my partner and not have the distractions of anything else. And if I do that, it's fine. I don't really struggle. I am happy to be monogamous, and it works for me. Ethical non-monogamy, or an open relationship, it feels too crazy to me. I'm looking for a really deep emotional connection, and I don't feel like I can get it in an open dynamic. I feel like there needs to be some stability and security, and I feel like that's really difficult to feel like you have, knowing that either of you could be sleeping with some other people at any given time. Of course, the difference between I guess an open relationship and a poly relationship is, I would consider a poly relationship to be emotional and sexual. I would consider an open relationship to be just sexual. So that's kind of where I make a distinction there. Let's see, what else? Ethical non-monogamy would be something that you negotiate, whether it's, you know, you can do this but not that, you can do this but not that, it would be something you negotiate. You know, I think you could probably do that in a situation where it's like maybe your partner has some thing that you don't like that's more important than sex to them, and so you negotiate a little bit of an exchange where, you know, maybe you get to sleep with other people or they get to sleep with other people, and then you get this thing that is important to you that maybe falls outside of the normally accepted components of a relationship. And then there's poly-fidelity. So this is where things confuse me. I am a really, really, really practical person. Poly-fidelity makes sense to me from a very practical standpoint. Now I think to myself, good Lord, I could barely deal with one woman. How the fuck am I going to deal with two? But you know, there's part of me that wonders, and I would really like to hear from you guys if you struggle with monogamy, if you've tried poly and it doesn't work, if you, you know, what you think about a monogamous relationship amongst three people, and, you know, if you've done a poly-fidelity thing, if you've had a successful, long-term, three-person relationship that was strictly monogamous, I would love to hear about it, because it does provide for some things. It provides for, if somebody has some bisexual tendencies, they can get both needs met. If they, it's super functional. God, I mean, I shouldn't be talking about it from such a functional standpoint, but a lot of times relationships are a negotiation of function, right? 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 I mean, I know I say that a lot, but right? So a lot of times relationships are a byproduct of function, or a desire for something really functional. So, you know, you have a house payment, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 people, you still have just one house and one payment. If you add another person, you add, what is that? I mean, you have 50% more income, but you don't have 50% more expenses. You can still just have 2 cars. You still just have 1 internet connection. You still, you know, there's certain things that are the electric bill and some of the basics in life are the same, whether or not it's 2 or 3 people. Now the questions and the sort of food for thought, and where I'm sometimes asking a question more than I'm making statements here, is it healthy? I mean, I think if everybody agrees to it, it's healthy, it's reasonable. Is it sustainable? I think if there's a lot of negotiation and it fits into the needs of everybody involved, it's functional. Does it make things easier? That's a really important question at play. Because you have a third person, does that make things more complicated, or are people more inclined to compromise? Is there more like a majority preference in situations, and you can sort of compromise for that? If there's conflict, does it help or not help? Does it help if there's conflict between 2 people and there's one person to sort of mediate? What about if it's 2 people against 1 person? Then do you just take more of a majority rules type of an attitude? And I'm not real sure about that, you know. I really don't know. Being a daddy dom and into the BDSM lifestyle, I frequently see people that are, you know, it's a daddy and a little girl, and then she's looking for a sister. And I always wonder, my first thought is always, that's just a dude trying to fuck 2 girls. That's all that is. But from a non-sexual standpoint, is it functional? I guess that's my curiosity. Is there any practical application to it where it becomes healthier, stronger, better? You know, what do you do if somebody wants to bail? Like what type of game plan? Are you more secure, less secure? Could 2 people just be like, fuck it, we're out of here, and you know, abandon 1 person? I would like to hear whatever you come up with on this, because it's definitely not a fully processed thought. I've definitely thought that, you know, I've leaned heavily towards monogamy. over the last 10 years. Prior to that, I would not get involved in a monogamous relationship because it was too difficult for me. And after 10 years of monogamous relationships, I question if there's a dynamic that would work better. For example, if you wanted to have kids, if you had 2 kids at the same time and 3 people were doing the work to raise 2 kids, would that help? Would that make things more stressful? I don't know. I would have to assume things would run smoother, but again, I really don't know. So love to hear your thoughts. Comment below.